Well, for more on the fallout and how companies make these decisions to advise politicians, I'm joined from Los Angeles by Jonathan Bernstein, CEO of Bernstein Crisis Management. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rachelle. Thank you for having me.
Now, it was a decidedly awkward breakup with a large number of these business leaders pulling out and then Trump tweeting that he was essentially just disbanding these business councils. So when signing on to these political councils, what's the motivation for both the CEOs and also for the president?
Well, at the CEO's end of things, I think the members of the council had forgotten the infamous story of the scorpion and the frog, where the scorpion asked the frog to give him a ride across the river, and the frog says, "No, you're going to sting me." But he gives him a ride anyway, and sure enough, when they get to the other side of the river, the scorpion stings him. Any business that chooses to be associated with the Trump administration has been stung or will be stung in the near future, and they learned that the hard way, so they bailed. I had advised a number of businesses early on, even as Trump came into the presidency, not to get close to him because he was going to bite you in the back. Unfortunately, that's proven to be true.
Now, for some companies, it may have been that their motivation was you see a president who has not taken this office before, who really needed the advice of people in the know. Could that not have perhaps been a positive influence?
Well, yes, and I know those who chose to get involved did so because they thought they could make a difference, I suppose in some sense they gained from that, but they are also then going out the door with the president personally insulting a number of them. So I'm not sure the gain is worth the pain.
Now, how much does the fact that these companies also have shareholders, investors, and customers to answer to, how much does that really impact their effectiveness on these political councils?
Well, I think a number of these companies were already getting negative feedback for being on the council in the first place from shareholders, from those who thought that a lot of communication coming out of the White House was unethical or immoral. So from the beginning, they had problems, and as you know, some pulled out fairly soon, and quite a few prominent ones refused to be involved.
Now, it did seem like a slow trickle starting from Monday, but what does this now say about the influence that these huge companies can have?
Well, businesses or organizations, not just businesses, even not-for-profits, influence in Washington has always been primarily through lobbying and through campaign contributions. And I don't think that'll change. In fact, I suspect that a lot, even those that are staunch Republicans, are hearing from their Republican congressmen that they're scared right now. And that's got to make them even more nervous about the White House.
Now, for those who aren't familiar, one of the administration's goals of the Manufacturing Council was to really advise the president on domestic manufacturing initiatives, which hopefully would have created jobs. What happens to those goals now?
Well, the question is whether they're ever real goals. There was a reason that the AFL-CIO did not endorse Mr. Trump. They endorsed Clinton because they knew that, in fact, their workers, their members of their union would have less work, not more work, under the Trump administration. So what we're seeing is the realization that the promises are hollow. And I'm speaking as a communicator here. If you don't walk your talk, then people call you on it. And what happens is that over and over again, Mr. Trump doesn't walk his talk. Everybody calls him on it, and anybody who does call him on it is faux news.
Well, we've certainly seen some negative aspects when it comes to Jeff Bezos, Amazon's founder and CEO. We saw that Amazon actually lost $6 billion off of its value thanks to a negative tweet from President Trump this morning. So if you're a business, how can you best protect yourself from this sort of backlash?
I think the best thing you can do is embrace it with humor. And I would strongly recommend to any business that it's not a badge of dishonor, it's a badge of honor to be on the Trump list, if you will. And I think that humility and humor go a long way towards communicating with all of your important stakeholders. But they cannot consider the White House to be an important stakeholder anymore, because in this administration it is not.
Now, businesses, especially those that are listed on the New York Stock Exchange, on Wall Street here, really have pinned their hopes on some of these initiatives that they're hoping to see from the Trump administration. So if you're one of these companies, how do you walk that line between separating yourself from the economic policies that will really help you, such as corporate tax cuts, and the president's personal rhetoric on issues that they disagree with?
you work with your congressman. You know, you just keep working with your congressman, because the White House is going to do what they're going to do, and there's going to be a lot of frustration on all parts, because communication breaks down as soon as it gets to the White House. And we're dealing with a petulant child as our president, I'm embarrassed to say. And I'm a parent as well. It's very difficult to deal with a petulant child. And I don't think businesses should go anywhere near him. I think businesses should make their own business councils. They might offer advice to the president through their own business councils, even if it was unsolicited. They can talk to their shareholders, they can talk to analysts, they can talk to their customers directly. And I think that the credibility is on their side more than it is on the White House side.
Certainly a delicate balancing act. We'll have to leave it there, unfortunately. Jonathan Bernstein, CEO of Bernstein Crisis Management.